She put her name on the marriage paper, thinking she married a guy who does business, not knowing the bedroom had a lock on the outside and walls that block sound for a reason. 3 old wives, all gone in a year. And the housekeeper wouldn't look at her when she asked why the main bedroom had chains built into the bed frame, hidden as pretty iron designs. By the time she found out what stamina practice meant in his life, and why his doctor came twice a week with bags of drugs without labels, the time to cancel the marriage was already over, and her family's money problems were fixed with her name on the paper. Welcome to Fated Encounters, besties. Please like, share, and subscribe. Fun stared at the marriage paper in her shaking hands, the ink still wet from where she put her name 20 minutes ago. The quick wedding at the office was fast, clean, no feeling, no family, no friends, just her, the guy she agreed to marry, and a bored government worker who handled their papers like it was a car license thing. Her dad's doctor bills were paid. The bad guys chasing her family's small home in Lagos were stopped. Her little sister could keep going to school without stops. All it cost was her freedom, and a name on a paper that tied her to a guy she met exactly twice before today. Kong Minho stood across the office, talking quietly to his helper, a strict lady named Mrs. Choi, who gave Funmi the marriage deal 3 weeks ago with no kindness, like someone collecting money owed. He was handsome in the way scary things are handsome, sharp chin, dark eyes that seemed to figure out everything, a body that moved like a hunter even in the fancy suit that probably cost more than her family earned in a year. At 35, he was 12 years older than her, a drug company boss with friends from Seoul to Singapore. And from the talk Mrs. Choi shared not happily, he'd been married 3 times before. All the marriages ended in a year. All 3 old wives left Korea right after the splits were done. None of them ever talked about their time as Mrs. Kong. The drive to his home, their home now, took 40 minutes through Seoul's rich Gangnam area. Fun sat in the back of the Mercedes, split from Minho by the middle seat, in what felt like a sea of things not said. He worked on his tablet, sometimes taking calls in fast Korean that she couldn't get. Even with her 3 months of learning the language, she'd come to Korea 6 months ago for a teaching job that failed when the school shut down quick. Stuck, visa ending, family needing money she couldn't send anymore. She'd been so needy she answered Mrs. Choi's ad for a deal marriage. Foreign wife wanted, the post said. For businessmen wanting to make family ties across countries. 1 year lease time, good pay, separate rooms maybe. She'd thought it meant she'd have her own spot. Her own room at least. The house came up before them like from a fancy book. New style build, all glass and metal, set into a hill with looks at the Han River. Pretty, alone. The closest neighbor was hidden by high walls and neat bushes. Minho got out of the car first, waiting as she picked up her one bag, all her stuff in this country. His hand touched her lower back as he led her inside, and she felt the warmth through her plain cotton dress. The front hall was huge, stone floors showing the light fixture above. A woman in a grey outfit showed up, middle-aged, with nice eyes that went empty when she saw Fume. "This is Mrs. Park," Minho said in English, his voice perfect and somehow making her skin tingle. "She runs the house. Anything you need, ask her." Mrs. Park bowed a bit but didn't smile. "Your room is ready," she said, and something about how she said your made Fun's belly feel tight. Minho took her up a curved stairs to the 2nd floor. The house was pretty, but cold, fixed up with the kind of perfect that said no one really lived there. He stopped at a door near the hall end and opened it to show a bedroom like in a top hotel. Big king bed with soft sheets, windows from floor to top, and a bathroom in the room seen through an open door. "This is the main suite," he said, putting her bag on a seat at the bed end. "Yours now, ours." She fixed carefully and saw something flash in his eyes. He stepped nearer and she fought to not step back. "We should talk about what to expect," he said, his voice getting lower. This setup has certain must-knows. Her heart pounded. The deal she'd signed was 20 pages of law words she hardly got, rushed by Mrs. Choi with words that it was normal. "I need," he went on, then stopped, chin tight. I need you to get that I have special needs, health needs that need strict times and ways. That's why the doctor comes, she said, thinking of the part about twice-week health checks. Yes, his hand came up, fingers touching her cheek so soft she might have dreamed it. And other needs that you'll find out about later. The way he said it made her shake, though she couldn't tell if it was fear or something way riskier. She'd seen him in their first meet, the way his eyes stayed on her shapes, the full body that Korean pretty rules usually ignored. She'd seen want there, fast, hidden, but clear. That night, Fun lay in the big bed. Can't sleep. Minho had left after showing her the room, gone somewhere in the big house. She'd checked the bathroom in the room, amazed at the rain shower and the shelf full of fancy skin stuff. She'd unpacked her small things, her clothes looking poor in the big closet, made for someone with way more. Around midnight, she heard steps in the hall. They stopped outside her door. She held her breath, waiting for the knock that didn't come. Instead, she heard the soft click of something machine-like, then quiet. In the morning, tired from time change and mixed up, she woke to find Mrs. Park putting a breakfast tray on the table by the bed. "Good morning, Mrs. Kang," the housekeeper said, and the name felt like wearing another person's skin. "Mr. Kong had work in the city today. He said you should rest and get to know the house." "Where is he?" Fun asked, sitting up and pulling the sheet higher. Mrs. Park's face was carefully blank. "He has a separate room on the 3rd floor, for his work. He keeps odd times, so they wouldn't be sharing this bedroom." Relief and something too close to sad fought in Funmi's chest. After breakfast, she checked around. The house had 5 bedrooms, a home gym that looked used lately, a book room with books in Korean, English, and Japanese. The kitchen was pro-level, meant for a cook, not home meals. In the basement, she found a locked door with a number pad. Something about it made her skin feel bad. The way the door was strong metal painted like wood. When she asked Mrs. Park about it later, the woman's face went white. "That's Mr. Kong's private work spot. We don't go there." The way she said it felt like a watch-out. 3 days went by in weird alone time. Minho showed up for dinner each night, super nice, asking about her day like talking to a stranger at a bus stop. They ate in the fancy eating room, him at one end of the long table, her at the other. The space between them real and like a symbol. He never touched her again after that first night. Never looked at her with the want she'd seen in their start meet. It was like living with a ghost. On the 4th night, everything switched. Funim couldn't sleep, the time change still messing her up. She walked down around 2 a.m., thinking she'd make tea in that scary kitchen. She found Minho there instead, leaning on the counter in just sleep pants, his top bare and showing a body that made her mouth dry. He was holding a glass of whiskey, and the look on his face was spooky, open in a way his day face never let. He looked up when she came in, and the want was back in his eyes, not hidden. "You should go back to bed," he said, but his voice was rough, needy. "I couldn't sleep." She moved to the kettle, super aware of his look, following her moves. The big t-shirt she wore to sleep suddenly felt too thin. Funmei. The way he said her name made her stop, made her turn to face him. His chin was tight so hard she could see the muscle move. "You should go upstairs right now." "Why?" she asked, and some wild part of her stepped closer instead of back. "Because I'm trying real hard to be nice, and you're making it super tough." His eyes went over her, staying on her shapes, seen under the thin cotton. "What if I don't want you to be nice?" The words came out before she could stop them. From 4 days of tight feeling, and the way he looked at her like she was water, and he was super thirsty. Minho put down his glass with careful moves. "Do you get what you're asking? I'm asking why you married me if you plan to stay away." Her chin went up. "I'm asking why 3 wives left you. I'm asking what you're hiding in that basement." His laugh was dark, sour. "You want the truth. My old marriages failed because I couldn't hold back, because my wants, my hungers, scared them off, because what I want from a wife isn't what most guys want." "Show me," Funmei heard herself say, and watched his hold break like a thin string. He crossed the space in 2 steps, his hand in her hair as he pushed her against the fridge. His mouth found hers, wanting, taking, and she gasped against his lips. He tasted like whiskey and risk, and something she couldn't quit. His free hand grabbed her hip, pulling her to him, and she felt how much he wanted her. "This is your last chance to run." He breathed against her mouth, and she answered by pulling him closer, by opening to him, by giving in to the fire she'd felt growing since she put her name next to his. He lifted her, and she wrapped her legs around his waist as he carried her upstairs. Not to the main suite, but to his private floor, to a room she'd never seen. The door closed behind them, and in the dark, she heard the sound of that machine lock clicking into place from the inside. This time his hands were everywhere, respectful and needy, feeling her shapes like he was learning a holy book. "You're so beautiful," he whispered against her neck, her collarbone, the curve of her breast through the thin shirt, so perfect, every curve, every inch of you. The shirt came off, then his sleep pants, and when their skin met, she got why his old wives ran, not because he was mean or hurt them, but because the strong feeling of him was too much, all taking like standing in a fire's way and choosing to burn. The next morning, Fume woke alone in Minho's bed. Morning light coming through curtains, she didn't remember him closing. Her body hurt in ways that made her face red, marked with signs of him having her. She found a note on the pillow next to her. "Had to go to the office. Stay in bed. Dr. Park will come by this afternoon for your first check." The doctor-like tone cooled some of the warmth from the night. First check. Like she was a sick person, not a wife. She wrapped in his robe, smelling him, and tried the door. It opened easy from inside, but when she looked outside, she saw what she'd missed in the dark. The lock on the outside, just like the basement door, the sound block stuff seen in the doorframe. This wasn't a bedroom, it was a cage made to hold something or someone. Downstairs, Mrs. Park had breakfast ready, but her eyes wouldn't meet Funmi's. The housekeeper knew. Of course she knew. She'd probably given breakfast to 3 old Mrs. Kongs, who'd woke in that same room, wearing that same robe, feeling that same mix-up and fear. Dr. Park came at 2 p.m. exact, a man in his 60s with soft hands and eyes that saw too much. He set up in the main suite, taking out tools from a bag without labels. "Mrs. Kang," he said in slow English, "I need to do a basic check. Your husband really wanted it." "What kind of check?" Fun sat on the bed, holding the robe shut. "To make sure you're healthy enough for Mr. Kong's musts. He needs a lot of energy from his partners. The meds I give help with that." "Meds?" Her belly twisted. "What kind of meds?" "Supplements, vitamins, some hormone fixers. Nothing risky, I promise. All okay by the rules." His smile was nice but strong. "Mr. Kong's old wives found them very useful, until they didn't," she said quiet, "until they ran away." Dr. Park's face showed something like sorry. "Mr. Kong is a guy with strong wants. Not every woman can handle that for long. But you're different. I think tougher." "How do you know?" "Because you're still here, asking stuff instead of calling a lawyer." The check was full, pro, and really weird. He took blood, checked her signs, asked personal questions about her health past and how much pain she could take. When he left, he gave a weekly pill box with meds she didn't know, with strict rules on when and how much. Minho came back at 6 p.m. with flowers, fancy roses that Mrs. Park put in a glass holder right away. He found Funmi in the book room, curled with a book she wasn't reading. "How was Dr. Park?" he asked, sitting by her on the leather couch. Being close made her heart fast, her body remembering all from the night. "You gave drugs to your other wives," she said, not looking at him, "to keep up with you." His hand found hers, thumb rubbing her knuckles. "I didn't drug them. I gave supplements to help with getting better and energy. Being with me is hard on the body. Funmi, I won't say sorry for that." "So you locked them in the sound block room, the cage you built upstairs?" His chin tightened. "That room is there because I needed a spot where I couldn't hear them go, where I could pretend for a few hours I was normal, that I didn't push away everyone who tried to love me." The open feeling in his voice broke something in her chest. "I'm not running," she said, turning to face him full. But I need to get what I'm married into, what you need from me. Everything. His eyes held hers, dark and needy. I need everything you're okay to give, and then more. I need to touch you, taste you, own you in ways that are probably not good. I need you so much it scares me, and that's why I've been staying away. Because once I start, I won't stop. Then don't stop, Foam said, and watched his hold break again. This time, they got to the main suite, and in the daylight, she saw him full. The need in his touch, the worship in his kisses, the way he handled her like she was special and needed, and after, tangled in wet sheets, he told her about the drug company he'd made, about the test stamina drugs he'd tried on himself for years, about how the bad effects had made him always wanting, had wrecked his first marriage before he got what was happening to him. The second and third wives were after I knew, he said, his fingers drawing shapes on her hip. I thought I could handle it, control it. I couldn't. They left in months, scared of what I'd become. And now you're stuck with a monster. You're not a monster, Fonme said strong. You're a guy with a health problem that's really weird. There are worse things, like being chased by money collectors in Lagos. His smile was soft. Getting it? I paid your family's money problems because I wanted to help. But I married you because when I saw you in that first talk, something in me knew something in you. Strength, tough, the way to handle strong stuff that would break others. That doesn't mean I'm not breakable, she said quiet. I know. His forehead touched hers. That's why we'll work this out together. Why, I'll never lock that door from outside, unless you ask. Why, I'll always give you the key to go. She didn't tell him she was starting to think she didn't want the key. That being taken by him felt less like sinking and more like finally learning to breathe. The first month went fast with changes and finding out. Fun learned the ways of Minho's house. The careful times that ran his life, the meds he took 3 times a day, the supplements Dr. Park brought weekly, the close watch of his signs that showed he was playing a risky game with his own body stuff. She learned about his company, Kong Pharmaceuticals, and the new stamina boost drugs they were making, drugs that said they'd help sick people keep strength during care, that could help old folks stay on their own, drugs that Minho had tested on himself before okay for people tests, not waiting for the rules, and sure, he couldn't be hurt. The bad effects were huge and forever. His body now needed levels of close body time that was almost health must. Without regular let-out, he had pain, no sleep, mind stress. With it, he was working, winning, almost normal, except for the always want that never fully left. They got into habits. Mornings he worked from home, video talks with far partners, while Famem took Korean lessons with a teacher. Afternoons, she checked Seoul's art places and museums, always with one of Minho's guard team, a careful thing he wanted. Evenings were just theirs. Dinner and talk that slowly got less stiff, more true. Nights were when the want took over, when the careful hold he kept all day broke, when he reached for her with hands that shook with need. She learned to see it coming, to read the signs, the tight in his shoulders, the dark in his eyes, the way his fingers would tap on things like trying to use up energy he couldn't hold. She learned what he needed, how to handle the strong, how to give in without losing her. But it was tiring. 6 weeks in, she got why the others left. Not because Minho was mean or hurt. He was always soft, even in his need. But because being wanted that strong, that always, was like being eaten slow. She started taking the meds Dr. Park gave, energy boosts, hormone fixers, vitamins made to help her body get better faster. They helped, but they also made her wonder what edge she was crossing, what cost she'd pay later for fitting a want that couldn't last. One evening, after a really strong night that left her body hurting, even with the meds, Minho found her crying in the bathroom. She tried to hide it, putting water on her face, but he was already down by her, his hands soft on her shoulders. "I'm hurting you," he said, and the wreck in his voice made her cry more. "Not the way you think." She got out. "It's not pain, it's just I don't know how to keep up, how to be enough. You are enough." He pulled her to his chest, holding her like she was special. God, fund me, you're more than enough. I'm the problem. I'm the one who's broken. Then fix it, she said. Stop taking the drugs. Find a way to turn it back. There is no turn back. His voice was empty. I talked to every expert on 3 lands. The changes to my body stuff are forever. This is who I am now. Then we change, she said, pulling back to look at him. We find a way that doesn't wreck me. Tell me what you need. He was quiet so long she thought no answer. Then, I need you to tell me when it's too much. I need you to have the tough to say no, because I can't trust me to know when I'm pushing too far. Can you do that? She nodded, and they made a new deal. Safe words, lines, planned breaks where he'd go for a few days to let her get better. It wasn't perfect, but it could last. And slowly, Fame felt like she could breathe again. 3 months in, she met Minho's mom. The visit was told with only 2 days before. Mrs. Choi showing at breakfast with a tight face and a list of musts. Mrs. Kong older is coming from Busan, the helper said. She want a fancy dinner, right clothes, and proof this marriage is real. Minho looked bad. My mom doesn't know about my problem. She thinks my old marriages failed from not matching. Let's keep it that way. The dinner was a bad dream of hidden mad. Mrs. Kang older was fancy, cold, and clearly not happy her son married a foreigner. She talked in fast Korean that Funham could only part follow, making Minho say it in English, which only showed Funham's outside place. You're very curvy, the older woman said in English, her tone like a bad thing. Korean men usually like thinner shapes. I'm not trying to please Korean men overall, Fun Man said careful. Just your son, and he seems real happy with my shape. Minho's hand found hers under the table, squeezing soft. His mum's eyes got small. The old wives were also foreigners. I'm starting to think my son has weird likes. Or maybe he just knows what he wants, Minho said, his voice with a sharp that made his mum's lips thin. Mother Fermame is my wife. She's not going anywhere. We'll see, Mrs. Kang said, turning to her soup. They all leave sometime. After she left, a storm of knot-like and fancy smell, Minho pulled Fumin into his arms. I'm sorry, he said against her hair. She's always been like that. Picking, cold, hard to make happy. Where do you think I learned to be so held back? Is that why you became a scientist? Funny asked. To show something to her. He laughed, sour and sharp. Maybe. Or maybe I just wanted to fix the unfixable, starting with me. The funny is, I broke me worse doing it. That night, he was stronger than usual. His touch almost needy, like he had to show his mom wrong. Had to make sure Fume was still there. Still his. She let him take her. Getting that sometimes the only way through strong is give in. For months in, the first real risk showed. Not from Minho's wants, but from his work. A other drug company had been trying to buy Kong Pharmaceuticals for years, stopped each time by Minho's no. When buy didn't work, they tried wreck. The break-in happened while Fami was home alone. Minho away at a meeting in Tokyo. She heard glass break down, voices in Korean, heavy steps of many bad guys. Fear made her blood cold. She locked herself in Minho's upsuite, the sound block room he'd built, and called his phone. The sound of his voice, sharp with worry, helped her fear. I'm sending guards now. Stay in the safe room. Don't open for anyone but them. She heard more glass break. Chairs flipped. The crash of something big. Then gunshots. 2 sharp sounds that made her scream into the phone. Fun me. Talk to me. Are you hurt? His voice was needy. I'm okay. I'm in the room, but they have guns. Guards will handle it. Just stay hidden. She heard him yell orders to someone. I'm coming home. Stay on the line. The next 15 minutes felt like hours. She heard alarms, more gunshots, then quiet. When the knock came at the safe room door, she almost didn't answer, but the voice was known. Mrs. Kong, it's Chief Hon. The bad guys are stopped. You're safe now. She opened to find 3 men in dark suits, one bleeding from shoulder, all looking serious. The house was a mess. Chairs flipped, art cut, papers everywhere, but the wreck was planned. They'd been looking for something exact in Minho's work files. Chief Han took her to the main suite and watched while she packed a bag. "We're taking you to a safe spot until Mr. Kong comes." This was aimed, and they'll try again. "Who are they?" Fan asked, hands shaking as she put clothes in a bag. "Chemcore Industries. They'd been trying to get Mr. Kong's work for years. Tonight, they chose to steal it." The safe spot was a top apartment in Middle Seoul, strong like a fort and with more guards than needed. Minho came at 2 a.m., still in his meeting suit, his face hard. He hugged her tight when he saw her, holding so hard she could hardly breathe. "Thank God," he breathed in her hair. "Thank God you're safe. Are you okay? Did they hurt you?" "I'm fine." She pulled back to look, seeing the fear under his hold. "Scared, but fine." "Who were they? What did they want?" "My work files. The mixes for the stamina drugs." He led her to the couch, keeping close. "Chemcore has been trying to copy my work for years. They're needy enough for steal and hurt. This is my fault. You could have been killed, but I wasn't," she said strong. "Your guards handled it. But Minho, this shows you're in risk. Your work, your life, everything at stake." He was quiet, looking at their hands together. "Maybe it's time to close it all. Sell the company, wreck the work, take the target off my back." "You'd do that?" she asked. "Give up all you've made, for me?" His eyes met hers. "Absolutely, in a heartbeat. The company, the work, my name, none matters if you're not safe. I've already lost 3 wives to my problem. I won't lose you to my foes." The words should have felt sweet. Instead, it felt like chains, like the weight of his need turning into another kind of cage. But before she could say her worries, he was kissing her, needy and taking in. She let herself get lost in the known fire of him. The next morning Minho said he was selling Kong Pharmaceuticals, not to Chemcore, but to a trusted other in Switzerland, a company with ways to keep his work good, and guards to protect from company spies. "It'll take months to finish," he told her, over breakfast in the safe penthouse. "But once done, we'll be free. We can go anywhere you want, do anything. I can focus on being your husband instead of a target." "What about your problem?" Fan masked careful. "The meds, the care. How will you handle without the company stuff?" "I'll work it out." His hand on hers. "Maybe without the stress of running big, my body will steady. Maybe we'll find a new normal. Or maybe she'd be handling this strong forever, tied to a guy whose want was both health problem and lifelock." But looking at him, seeing the hope in his eyes, she didn't say her doubts. 5 months in, they left Korea, not forever, but for a long honeymoon. While the sale finished, Minho picked an island spot in the Philippines. Private houses with own beaches, workers who gave space, and enough alone that he could relax. For 3 weeks, they lived in a bubble of seawater and sun. Minho's want didn't go. The problem was forever, after all. But somehow it felt different away from Seoul's push. Easier to handle. More like hot feeling than must. They swam in clear water, ate fresh seafood, made love on beaches at midnight. Fan felt her body finally getting better, the always tired fading. The meds Dr. Park gave ran out, and she didn't ask for more, wanting to see if she could handle without chem help. She could, but she could. On their last night, at the spot, lying tangled in sheets that smelled like ocean and fancy wash, Minho turned to her with odd serious. "I need to tell you something," he said, "about why the others really left." She waited, heart speeding. "I thought at first it was the strong. The body asks," he went on slow. "But the last wife, Yuki, she told me the truth before she left. She said she felt like she was going away, like being eaten by my need was wiping herself, her person. Like she stopped being Yuki and just became the thing that fed my want." His voice broke. "I'm scared I'm doing that to you." Fan took his hand, picking words careful. "Sometimes it feels that way," she said, "like I'm more med than wife. But that's on me too. For not saying, for not setting lines, for letting me be eaten because it felt easier than fight." "So what do we do?" he asked. "How do we fix this?" We start treating me like a teammate, not a pill. She said, you include me in choices. You ask about my dreams, my goals, not just my ability to handle your needs. You remember, I'm a person with my own wants, not just a fix to your problem. Can you do that? I can try. He pulled her closer. God, fund me. I want to try because you're not just med to me. You're the first person in years who's made me feel like more than my problem. Like maybe I'm still human under all this. Then we'll work it out together, she said. One day at a time. When they went back to Seoul, real life hit hard. The sale of Kong Pharmaceuticals stopped. Chemcore making law fights that tied all in rule checks. Minho spent 12-hour days with lawyers and company planners, coming home tired and tight, his wants stronger with the stress, his body asking let out. He was sometimes too worn to handle right. The meds got low. Dr. Park having hard time getting new without company ways. They were going down and Funmi could feel it. 6 months in, everything hit top. Minho fell during a board meet, his body finally fighting years of body chem change. They rushed him to a private hospital where experts did tests that showed what Dr. Park feared. The test drugs had made forever hurt to his hormone system. His body was slow wrecking itself, caught in a loop of too much make, and tired. He had maybe a year, less maybe, before parts fail must happen. Unless they tried a test care, another drug, another risk, another chance. Minho said, no. Fuman found him in his hospital room, looking out at Seoul's skyline, looking more beat than she'd seen. I'm not taking more drugs, he said before she spoke. I'm not making me more of a monster than I am. You're not a monster, she said, sitting by his bed. You're a guy who made choices with results. But that doesn't mean you quit. What's the other? He asked sour. Live another year as an addict, eating you till nothing left. Watch you go away like the others. Die slow while you play nurse. That's not living. None of those are the only picks, she said strong. We try the care. We hope it works. And if not, we make what time we have mean something. He turned to look at her. Really, look. Why are you still here? After all, why haven't you run? Because I love you, she said, and knew it was true. I love you even with the want and the strong and the hard of it. I love you because, under the problem, you're nice and smart and trying so hard to be better. I love you because going would hurt more than staying. I don't deserve you. His voice broke. You deserve someone who can love you without eating you. Maybe, she said, but I picked you anyway. So stop trying to be hero and let me choose what I can handle. They tried the care. 8 weeks of drips of careful watched drug mixes made to reset his hormone system. The bad effects were hard, worse than before. Some days, Minho couldn't get out of bed. His body hurt as his chem fixed. The want went fully, which should have been good, but left him empty, cut from the drives that shaped him for years. Fun Me stayed by him through it, holding through the hurt, feeding when too weak, talking through the mind pull away of sudden not needing at all. In the 9th week, something changed. The hurt went down. His want came back. Normal human want for food and link. The doctors did tests, careful but more hopeful. Whatever they did worked, at least part. The must-want was gone. The risky loop broken. What stayed was closer to normal. Human want from like and feeling, not chem must. The first time they made love after his get better was different. Slower, softer. There in a way they never did before. Minho touched her like memorizing, like he finally had time and focus to really see her. After, he cried, for the years lost to addict, for the wives who ran, for the monster he'd been and finally got away. 7 months in, they were learning each other again. Minho, without the want, was still strong, still hot, but now there was space for talk and soft touches and days where they didn't have sex at all. He'd asked her what she wanted in life. Really asked and heard when she talked about maybe doing art help, about wanting to aid others who'd had bad times. He'd helped her sign up for classes, backed her when accepted to a higher school starting in fall. They were becoming team, equal instead of his need pulling her into always circle. But healing wasn't straight. There were still bad days. Times when Minho fought with the mind after a verdict, when he reached for her from habit and fear not want. There were nights when Funmi felt the tired coming back, remembered what it felt like to be eaten. They went to pair help, both alone and together, working through bad that had no easy fixes. 8 months in, Fun met the first old wife. Her name was Sarah, from Australia, and she'd been Minho's second marriage. She reached out through a shared friend, asking to meet for coffee, to share something key. They met in a quiet cafe in Itaewon, 2 women tied by same time, with the same hard guy. Sarah was pretty calm, and had the tired of someone who'd lived through something most can't get. I heard about his care, Sarah said careful, that it worked, that he's different now. She looked at Funmi's face. Are you okay? Surviving. Fum said some days just, but mostly okay. Why did you reach out? Because I needed you to know it wasn't your fault if you'd left, Sarah said. The others and I, we talked sometimes. Help group kind. We blamed us for not being strong enough, lasting enough. But truth is, no one could keep what he needed. Not long, not without wrecking self. I'm not wrecked, Funmi said. Not yet, anyway. Sarah's smile was sad. Give it time. The wear is small. You don't see till one day you look in mirror and don't know you. Unless he's really different now. Unless the care changed things. It did, Funmi said, wanting to believe. He's different. We're different. I hope so, Sarah said. For both you. Because he's not bad guy. Just risky one. And love isn't always enough to keep you from risk. The talk stuck with Famin for days. She looked at Minho with new eyes, watching for signs of the guy he'd been, the want that might come back. But what she saw was someone fighting daily to be better, to pick health over must, to love her as team not must. 9 months in, they did their vows again, not because the first marriage wasn't real, but because they wanted to cheer what they'd become. The event was small, just close friends and Mrs. Park who cried all through. Minho's mom even came. Her okay slow, but they said vows they'd written. Minho promised to see her, really see her, every day for life, to never let his needs, health, or other, cover her person, to love her as equal, not a fix. Fun promised to be true, to speak when too much, to never go away into caring at cost of herself, to love him without losing her. When they kissed, it felt like a start, not keep going, like they'd finally got to the marriage they'd signed for 9 months ago. 10 months in, Fun found she was having a baby. The news came with problems. Her body hormone levels still getting better from months of boosts and meds. The doctors weren't sure if she could keep her end, if her system could handle the stress. Minho was scared. The thought of her body threw more hard because of him, even not direct, almost broke him. He wanted her to stop it, to pick her health over a maybe life. But Funyam wanted to try, wanted to believe her body could, that she was stronger than the past 10 months showed. They agreed on close watch, weekly meets with experts, plans for every maybe bad. The baby time was hard, sick in morning that lasted all day, tired that meds couldn't fix, her body fighting to feed her and the growing life inside. There were days she wished she didn't pick, days she was sure her body would quit. But Minho was there through all, paying attention and helping in ways that had nothing with his needs. He brought her ginger tea for sick, rubbed her big feet, stayed up late, looking up baby problems and fixes. He put her health above all, even his work, even the last bits of selling his company. 11 months in, Fune went into early birth. 36 weeks, the baby small but okay. The birth was long and hard, her body pushed to max. For hours, she worked Minho by her, holding hand, whispering cheer, being the team she needed. When their girl finally came, tiny and perfect, and yelling her come to world, Fuman felt something fit. This was what they'd been going to, not the deal marriage, not the want and strong, but this time of shared make and love. They named her Hope because that's what she stood for. Hope that they could build healthy from broken. Hope that love could be more than eating. Hope that family could be picked and fought for and kept. A year in, Funmi looked back at the woman who'd signed that marriage paper and hardly knew her. She'd been needy, alone, ready to trade self for family safe. Now she was a mum, a higher student, a wife to a guy who'd learned to love her without eating her. The road hadn't been easy. There were still hard days, times when Minho fought with the mind echoes of his addict, when Fuman felt the tide coming back, but they'd built something true from the ashes of what could have been her wreck. They'd made a family from a work deal. They'd found love in the spaces between want and healing. On their first year day, Minho gave her a key, not to the house she already had, but to the safe room up, the sound block space he'd built to hold his dark. Inside, he'd changed it. The chains were gone, replaced by art stuff and a desk. The lock only worked from inside now, making it a safe spot, not a cage. "It's yours," he said. "A space for your work, your art, your help practice someday. A room where you can go and just be you, separate from me, from Mum, from all. A room with a lock you control." She cried, getting what the gift meant. He was giving back the self-rule she'd lost, was showing he got that love meant space as much as close. They made love that night in the main suite, their girls sleeping quiet down the hall, and it was soft and equal, and nothing like the needy eating want of those first months. It was lasting, it was healthy, it was true. After, tangled in sheets that no longer felt like a fight place, Foom thought about the housekeeper's watch out from a year ago, the lock on the outside, the sound walls, the 3 old wives who'd run. She'd signed that deal thinking she'd married a business guy, not knowing she was going into a cage built by bad and body chem. But she'd also found something the others hadn't, that cages could be unlocked from inside, that want could be healed, that love, true love, was worth fighting for, even when chances seemed hard. Minho moved by her, his hand finding hers in the dark. "Thank you," he said, half asleep, "for staying, for fighting, for loving me even when I was not lovable." "You were never not lovable," she said, "just lost. We both were." His arms tightened around her. "Are we found now?" She thought about their girl sleeping down the hall, about the help practice she'd start next year, about the guy who'd learned to love her without losing self to addict, about the marriage that started as a deal and became something can't replace. "Yeah," she said, "I think we are." Outside, Seoul glittered with a million lights, each one a story, a life, a choice made in dark that led to light. Inside, in their bedroom with its unlocked door, and their sleeping girl down the hall, Fomman and Minho held each other and slept the no-dream sleep of people who'd lived through their own wreck and chose to build something better from the bits. The deal marriage that should have wrecked her had instead become her save. The want that should have eaten her had instead taught her strong. The cage she'd gone into had become a home, not because the dark went, but because they'd learned to face it together. And in the morning, when Hope's cry woke them both, they'd get up together to face another day, not as holder and held, not as addict and helper, but as team in the true way. Two people who'd found each other in the dark and chose every day to walk to the light together. The end was just another start, and for the first time in a year, Foom was ready for whatever came next.